Yo, what's up? I'm gonna explain Sword and Shield Skip. So there's quite a few pieces to this trick. I made the diagram on the left just so like you can visualize more easily about some of the pieces that I'll be talking about, and also be demonstrating some like do's and don'ts on the emulator. But before I actually get into the trick, I'm gonna cover just some of the logistics involved in it, mainly the LJA long jump attack and the trigger types. So basically, as you can see on the diagram here, I have air trigger and ground trigger written. There's two types of triggers in Twilight Princess, which I dubbed air trigger, ground trigger, and basically, I mean, they do exactly what they say, what they sound like. In a ground trigger, it won't actually trigger the trigger, for lack of better words, until you touch it on the ground. But for the air trigger, it will trigger whenever you pass over it in the air. And this is really important, especially for this trick, because the air trigger always takes priority. As you can kind of see from the diagram, that the ground trigger is actually covers over the air trigger, or rather the air trigger is over the ground trigger. And if this overlap didn't occur, this trick wouldn't work in the first place. Basically, you're still over the first trigger, this trigger right here, which Minda says, come on, how many times did I tell you about getting Sword and Shield? When you actually land in the Twilight trigger that pulls you in, but because the Twilight trigger is a different type of trigger, it's an air trigger, as soon as you pass over it, it immediately triggers it and you get pulled in. And so the other part of this is the long jump attack, and if you're watching this, you probably already know what a long jump attack is, but if you don't, it's just like a high-speed jump attack, and it's the other key part to making this trick work. If you know about the boomerang long jump attack, it's a 71 speed jump attack as human, but when it's done as wolf, it can be done as wolf as well. It's 45 speed, and timing the LJA is really the most important part of this trick, probably the most important part of this trick. But it can also kind of like adversely affect the trick, which you'll see here. I'll just go ahead and show. All right. Okay. So I have this state loaded right here, and it's like not at the perfect angle to get it, but it'll work for what I'm going to demonstrate. All right, so what I'm going to do is back up as fast as I can, like right when Hugo starts to swing, and I'm just going to save state here, and I'm just going to find the first frame I can jump. Okay, looks like 74. Okay, so I'm going to jump as soon as absolutely possible. Alright, so you'll notice right here, I have an LJ. This is 45 speed. This is bad. I do not want an LJ for the first jump. And you'll see why. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and like frame advance up to the next jump attack. Let's try and actually jump over the trigger. And you'll notice I can't, because I slid right into the trigger. I had so much speed from the LJ that I could not slide, that I just could not do the second jump attack. I just slid right in. And the reason for this is, I guess when you jump attack while Hugo still has the club over his head, it gives you an LJA, but once it's in front of him, it gives you like a normal speed jump attack, which is kind of what you want here. So let's see. Oops. Alright. So I waited a little bit there. Okay, see, now I have this 26 speed attack. And so this jump attack is slow enough that I can actually slide before I'll slide a little bit and jump attack again before I actually run into the trigger, which is what I want. Okay, so it's going to hit him once. We'll just go ahead and make a save state here. And I'm going to find the first frame I can jump attack again, which is this one right here. I'm going to jump attack. And you'll see right now I don't have a full speed LJ. It's 39.74 speed. And I mean, that's still a pretty fast jump attack. But there's two things missing here. One, Hugo isn't at the right height for me to actually get the distance I need, and as I said already, this is not a full speed LJA, so chances are I'm not going to get it. You can actually get it with like a 43 speed LJA, but to really make it like a perfect Sword and Shield skip, you want the full speed LJA. So let's see what happens here. So I attack him, and then I get a lot of height, but what happens is I don't go very far. I don't get a lot of distance. And that's pretty much what happens when you attack him early on the second jump, is you get a lot of height, but you don't have enough speed to make the actual distance. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of play around with this here. So I'm going to keep going a frame later. So you see, the later I go, the faster my LJA gets. So you got a 41 now. Still didn't make it. Another 40. Didn't make it. 42. Alright, 44. This should make it. I might have to wait one more frame. But I have pretty much the required speed. It's like 43, 44-ish. And Hugo's at the right spot in his like fallback. We're going to get the right distance. So let's see here. There. You see I got it. And you can actually go too late. I think in this particular save state, I'm too close to the trigger. I won't be able to go very late. Alright, see, that's probably the latest I can go and still get it. Yeah. If I go any later than that, I'm probably going to slide into the trigger. Oh, let's see. One more. Yep. Ah, there it is. Okay, so I slid into the trigger. So, you can actually be a little further back and still get it. But another consequence of that is, if you're a little further back, you can jump a little later as well. You can actually jump so late that you won't get the height at all. You'll just like attack Hugo. You'll just immediately try to attack Hugo, and you won't really go anywhere. I mean, you'll hit him really fast. You'll get an LJA, but you won't get like the required height to match the distance with the speed. Okay, so that's all assuming you have the right angle. And as you can kind of see from the diagram, I noted that going left and right of where my current angle is now is not very good. If you go too far to the right, you're going to flat out miss the trigger, because you see the triggers in Twilight Princess from this diagram are oval shaped, so not like straight lines. They're not like flat rectangles or whatever. So if you go too far to the right, you're just going to flat out miss the trigger, even if you get like a perfect LJA. If you go too far to the left, you can actually still get it if you're like perfectly perpendicular to the wall. But if you're like really, really perpendicular, like if you're straight up grinding the wall will actually slow you down, and you won't be able to reach the trigger in time. If you have like a little bit of angle, you're pretty good. You just want to have like in between this little tiny bit of angle and like a ton of angle, because you have a ton of angle, you're just gonna flat out miss the trigger. And I've noted the like red smiley faces as attacking him too early and attacking him too late in like regards to his fallback. You want to like get that like sweet spot straight in the middle. And really, that's all about it. I mean, the main difficulty in this trick is timing the second jump attack. It's really like depending on how you set it up, you can probably get it all the way up to 4 or 5 frame window. But for the most part, it's going to be like 2-3 frames, pretty much about the equivalent of like the bomb jump in Snow Peak. It's just a really tight window to jump, and that really makes it hard. But if you do the trick a lot and you get the muscle memory down, it becomes easier over time.